Welcome back to MCOC Al Bundy Rules. I have Chapter 2 here of the new event quest for March 2021 with Odin. So hopefully you were able to use Chapter 1 to get you through nice and item-free completion. As we're going through 2, we're seeing Mystics get a massive advantage here in 2.1. Looking at the prowess we can gain with the bars of power, we see you have to look out for the Unstoppables and their stun immune. So the Unstoppable is something you're going to have to keep an eye out on the side of the menu on the Defender. Look at the Randrock, and nothing too bad I'm seeing. I'm deciding this path should be a fairly simple one. There is the Korg there, but I am bringing Doom as a counter for that. And I'm looking at the Ghost Rider boss. I see Brute Force, Prey on the Weak, Stun, Shy, Thermostat's one got to keep an eye on, and Vulnerable to Stun Vulnerable, and Hard Knocks. So I'll have to purposely take block damage on that fight to watch the Thermostat, but that should be pretty simple. So I'm bringing a few Mystics for the path, and then I'm bringing a couple, specifically either Guardian and or Torch for the boss over there, thinking that should be good. I'm going to be using a bit of my fun little Sasquatch. Some of you have seen my Sasquatch tutorial. If you haven't, I'd recommend checking it out. This is my R3 Sasquatch. Really like this champ. And I'm thinking this should be a pretty dang good fit for him, these event quest nodes. So we'll see how it goes. Going to have some fun with them. A big thing I do have to look out is for the Unstoppables. And although he does have Stagger, and for the Staggers there's so many buffs coming up, the Staggers are just expiring very quickly, so the Staggers aren't overly helpful in this specific quest I'm seeing. But then again, once I get Sasquatch going, fight's going to be over in a blink of an eye anyways. It's got to get him into his stage. Not a rupture, but I do have to slow down. Normally I fight very aggressively with Sasquatch, but got to be a little careful because of those Unstoppables. Gonna do that S3, get that Wrath on the Rock going. And this is where stuff should get interesting pretty quick, although Black Bolt's already pretty low on health anyways. So I gotta go ahead and get him up to an S2 now as I stack some ruptures. And this should be nice, over and easy, and there we go. Simple breezy. Move on over to the next fight. And got good old Cable over here. Although I'm tempted just to steam the roll through all this with Sasquatch. I'm also looking at my Dragon Man, but I'll go and use Sasquatch here. I'll use Dragon Man coming up. I'm going to use a few other champs just for the sake of anyone who doesn't have Sasquatch, and showing plenty of champs work for this. Sasquatch is kind of a personal favorite of mine right now. And going on through, again, be careful of those Unstoppables. Remember, you can't stun them when they got these Unstoppables going on these nodes. If you're not sure why I'm playing Sasquatch the way I am or what's going on, highly recommend my tutorial. You'll see, especially when he gets going, you can knock out like 5, 6, 800,000 damage within a few seconds. I mean, dude's a complete beast. Heck of a tank too. And so having to play a lot more passively than I like, because Cable's been pretty aggressive now. I managed to get cornered when the Unstoppable was going on. Ugh, mistimed those heavies, but that's okay. And so I got that S2. I'm good for another one on the Wrath on the Rock. And Unstoppable hit right in the middle, but I took some significant damage off of Cable pretty quick there. And I should be able to wrap this up just about in a couple seconds. And there we go. Take a seat, Cable. Face down, dude. There you go. Take a nap. Alrighty. See how my Sasquatch playing with this tree. Going on up now, up the path, along the side, and got this dude, one of the new ones, Super Scroll. Trying to remember his name. Dude with the thing-looking arms, with flames. He's like, anyways. So got Super Scroll going on there. I've only fought him a couple times, so be a little rusty possibly on His style, haven't gotten full used to him. Always he's unstoppable. Never a big fan of these unstoppable nodes because it makes me focus so much up top looking at that little timer. And so he Super Scrolls immune there. Alright. So I'm going to take it fairly easy on this fight. Just not overly familiar with Super Scroll yet. And I will do some massive whiffs along the way. A lot of those types again. Okay, that S2 going on. Mistimed that. Took some damage. Go get S3 now. Like, I'm playing way too defensively. A lot more than I would normally like, but just based on the combination of defenders and nodes is making it a little hard to play aggressive, and Dragon Man's just made for aggressive. So we're gonna try to get going. Unfortunately, it's been difficult to be offensive here. It's overly offensive. And I'm trying to work out his S1s as much as possible. His S2s are rather devastating. But I'll just take out piece by piece and go with that. I'm going to try to get a little more aggressive here after this S3, as I show in my 5 top mystics with suicides video. Dragon Man can get pretty insane in certain parts, but at least I took some major punishment but barely lost any health, thankfully, based on that 85% regeneration after the S3. However, that attempt to get more aggressive backfired, ran right into a beating. So this fight hasn't been going too well, Dragon Man. Sorry, buddy, but yeah, you're going to go ahead and lay down. Let me bring my Sasquatch buddy back in. So I had to make a choice between if I was going to R3 my Sasquatch, or I also have a 6-star Dragon Man. So it was R3, and I am very happy with my choice. Dragon Man, sit down, let Sasquatch do what he does. And I'm not using Doom yet because I'm specifically want Doom for that Korg fight. Korg with unstoppable nodes and unblockable and unstoppable can be kind of brutal. Could be a risky fight for an easy path, but I figured it's going to be very doable, especially if I brought in a counter for it. And Sasquatch finished up what Dragon Man couldn't. A little bit of slop play there. Now, it's a lot of its lack of familiarity with Super Scroll as well. The more you fight a champ, the more repetitive they get, the more easy they get. Captain Marvel. So I had to lose one of my path clears fairly early, so I'm going to rely, and I want to save Doom, so I'm going to rely on Sasquatch for pretty much everything outside of Korg at this point, up until I clear this path. And so being careful when that unstoppable pops up on about. Okay, I'm at 2 bars, looking at Rathaton the Rock, nice. And I mistimed it, and now I'm stuck with that S3 while Rathaton the Rock is going. I just went a little bit above that S2, was busy looking at the unstoppable timer. That's okay, I'll go along to the S3. I could have had a chance to change some heavy S2s for a quick end to this fight, but was off by a little bit on my special timer. That's okay. So I just go ahead and reactivate the Rathaton the Rock. And now, moving on through, trying to get up to that S2 before it expires. And there we go. Saw some nice massive. That wasn't even a crit, and it over 100,000 on the first hit alone without even a crit. When he starts critting those special twos, woo-wee, and with some ruptures, let me tell you, dude, tear some stuff up. Moving on to Howard the Duck. The thing, just kind of work up those ruptures, work up everything as I work towards my Rathaton the Rock, and then start spamming S2s. And even though I'm running suicides with got recoil, doesn't really matter with Sasquatch, especially when you get him a little lower health, under 40-ish%. He's a massive tank. He's got a lot of different regenerations that keeps him sustaining really, really easy. So I don't really worry about recoil damage with him. He's just very sustainable. Why I had him as one of the top mystics with suicides in the game. In my video I did on that, and I explained a little bit more on that there. Nothing like a nice little kick on Howard the Duck. Alright, I got Rathaton Wreck going on. Gonna work up to my S2. Got some 236,000 on just one hit of that special too. Like I said, Sasquatch can do some massive damage. I haven't even barely ramped him up yet. When you get this guy ramped up, that was with what, 8 ruptures I think. See what he does at like 20 or 30 ruptures is pretty intense. So Doom, this was the main reason. I don't really like Doom very much with suicides. However, I did bring him for this fight based on for the mystic needs, as well as the energy. Figured he'll be a little bit, even though Korg is shock immune, makes that a little bit. But I mainly didn't bring him for the shock purposes. I brought him for his. Oh, and Korg is just playing crazy on me right now. But I really brought him for his energy damage to avoid the extra damage I'll take in. Korg started off a little aggressive, very aggressive on me. I need to get this fight under control pretty quick, taking some good damage already. Kind of try to work my way up to S2. Okay, try to regain control, regain position and grounding on here before I get cornered. Unstoppable. I don't want to parry hit and try to stun him while he's got that going on unstoppable, because he won't stun. So just try to hide. Anytime I see him unstoppable, I'm just going to kind of go hide from him and hope I don't get cornered. Work up to that S3. Finally, took me a little bit there. This fight has been far from smooth so far. So I'm questioning about going down a path with a Korg unstoppable as an easy path choice. However, maybe bring a non-mystic better counter if need be, or fight a little better. I'm just running into stuff right now. But I'll still get him down. Only reason I brought Doom was for this one fight alone, so as long as Doom gets this fight down, he served his purpose and he can go take a nap somewhere. Won't need him after that. But I see that S3 get me up there. Need to get some good damage going on. It does hurt not having shock damage, because that's where Doom gets a lot of stuff, including those stagger, stunt, S2 damage, all that good stuff. So that does make this a little bit harder. But he still gets the job done. I don't need all the fancy stuff. And that sure was not a clean file. Wasn't a pretty fight. But did Doom serve his purpose, get him done what I needed to get done? And yes, he did. So there we go. I'll consider that a success despite a little bit of chaos moving on throughout that fight. And now we got the Ghost Rider. So I was originally not thinking this. I'm still used to the old Ghost Rider not being Incinerate immune. I brought Human Torch automatically because I saw Mystic, completely forgetting Ghost Rider got changed to Incinerate immune not too long ago. So now I'm looking at these buffs, Prey on the Weak, Brute Force. So I got to be careful on the Power, Sting. I tend to forget those a lot. Thermostat's the big thing I got to focus on. So I don't want to hit 0. I don't want to hit 20. I'll do hits to increase it. I'll take blocks or parries in order to decrease it. So if I get too close to 20, I'll just start randomly taking block damage. If I get too close to 0, I'll start going into 5-hit combos as much as I can. So not too bad. So I'm realizing, okay, dang it, I brought a Incinerate champ for an Incinerate immune defender. Did not think that went all the way through. So I did initially bring Torch, but I realized that was probably not the best choice, so I went ahead and switched now over to Guardian. And Guardian is good for anything. I haven't been using much Guardian, but Guardian is just completely eating through Ghost Rider. I mean, I haven't even getting barely past 1 bar of power. I've already knocked down a quarter of his damage. So it's looking like Guardian was an extremely good fit for this fight. He's doing some very, very heavy damage on just his basic attacks. And I'm watching the thermostat. I'm seeing him at 14 right there, so I got to be careful. Got to take some blocks or parries in order to lower it back down. Alright. So I'm trying to work my Guardian up to S3. 3. If you're not sure what I'm doing with Guardian, I do have a tutorial on him. I also got a few other videos and showing his insane damage. I did one video where I was averaging like over 1,000,000 damage per special with a few different specials on a little montage on it. One of them went over 1.3 million per single S2. So if you want to see a pretty amazing champ, be sure to check out my other Guardian videos. I would highly recommend, but that's, of course, if you're interested in Gata, but he is pretty awesome, let me tell you, especially when you get him a little ramped up. And but he's been owning this fight without even really any real ramp up. I did make the mistake, though, took some damage from forgetting about the power sting after the power bar, but at this point, this fight's pretty much over, so I'm not worried about that at all. I was just trying to get one S3, then to an S3 cycle to finish it off. I never even got to an S2. Guardian owned that fight so dang well. S2 was never even needed. Well, that worked out well since that wasn't my initial plan for that boss fight, but worked out very well. And so that is wrapping up that 2.1. So now it's time to get into 2.2. Going to take a little bit of a look at the path and the team and the nodes. So I'm deciding that this should be a nice, easy path, I believe. No unstoppable Gorgs this time. I'm seeing mutants are good. Longer, more attack specials are beneficial here based on the regeneration. Just a scratch every time defender struck, the passive regenerates. So you want to bring mutants to deal with that. And Hurt Locker can't use the same special more than once in a row, which should be okay. So what I really want to do is, I've done some videos on Psylocke, and of course always the trolls come out. People don't even watch the videos, say, oh, Psylocke is bad, she hits like a wet noodle. So I decided to kind of sneak one in on some of the trolls who won't watch the advertised Psylocke videos, and I'm going to use her a little bit in here. So I'm going to show you how good she is. There are those who say she can't be used for later game content. Well, here's Cavalier EQ Chapter 2, so I'll show you to the contrary. So we're looking at the Void. I'll look a little bit more at him before I fight him. I saw a few things. I'm running Suicide, so that makes a big difference because I already got debuffs going in that fight. So I'm looking to mostly probably want to bring somebody immune for that Void fight is a big thing based on my masteries. So got a mutant. Big reason I decided to take this path first is that there is a mutant there. So my logic is I'll use Apocalypse, get my 4 charges after this fight, then I can nominate my Horseman of the Apocalypse synergy. If I didn't have a mutant first fight, I could have brought Cable along, who's also really good with this Apocalypse synergy. But I find Cable, even with the synergy, kind of boring. Just another parry heavy champ, so I've already got a plan for this path that I think is going to be rather entertaining. But we do see Apocalypse works very well for these fights as well. He has many hits on his S2, so that works really good. But based on the can't use the same special twice. I can't have to rotate between 2s and 1s. And Colossus is getting tore up pretty well. If you're not sure what I'm doing with Apocalypse, I got a nice tutorial on him. People talk about his synergies, but a lot of people overlook how insane of an attacker he is as well. I mean, he's a win-win. Amazing attacker, amazing synergies. So now I got what I wanted with him. I might use him later if I need to, and he could steamroll through this path on his own, honestly. But I'm going to have some fun. I'm going to bring out I'm going to go and activate this synergy. And then I'm going to go ahead and bring in Psylocke. Alright, for you Psylocke haters who I haven't already converted, I'm hoping this video shows you just a little bit. She's better than she gets credit for. For those who call her trash, keep watching, okay? Because I'm going to make a believer out of some of y'all one way or the other. Anyway, so right now what I'm going to do is I'm working towards getting my power lock going on. So it's going to start off a little slow. And there we go. At this point, as far as I'm concerned, the fight's over. Sure, there's still 76% health, but nah, it's over. Ain't nothing going to happen now. Once I get that power lock in, it's night-night. And that's why I like her. And I love her power lock ability. And then we also have the ability for, she just does smooth intercepts. You see how smooth those are. Her damage with Apocalypse Synergy is, I'm doing 10,000 mediums right now. So I haven't even got into her heavy, so it's special. She does some crazy damage too with this. So I really, really like Pyslocke with the Horseman becoming easily one of my favorite mutants, one of my favorite champs overall, honestly, with that synergy. I've been talking about I have an R3 mutant 6-star coming up soon, and there's a few of them I've been looking at. We see 3 of them here, Emma, Domino, and Pyslocke. I gotta say, Pyslocke is getting a lot of attention from me, and considering that, including over Domino. But we will see that very soon. It's probably going to be within the next week or so. I'll be doing that new R3 6-star mutant. So let's see who I choose. I do like Domino too, a lot. However, I do got her as an R5 5-star, and she has a lot of RNG going on with her. Plus, for her to really shine, that's Trinity team. Is she still good without the Trinity team? Of course, but she super shines with it. And I know a lot of people fault Pyslocke, saying she needs that one synergy with Apocalypse. Well, people love Domino, at least a lot of people do. And she really needs both the Massacre and Red Hulk to really shine. So I think faulting people for needing synergies should be consistent. I see that Daredevil Hell's Kitchen is getting close to his S3. He's kind of a weird champ since the buff as far as fighting, so I try to play a little cautiously with him. He'll just knock off those stuns really quick and a lot of different items. I did a tutorial on him after the buff. Most people hated the buff when it came out. I was one of the few who liked the buff. I took a lot of hate on my channel. I think a lot of people are starting to come around to him now. Not everybody loves him. He's not an OP champ, but he is pretty fun and he is pretty dang good overall. OP, nah, not every buff has to be an OP game break and change. He's very usable now, though, I would tell you that. He's a lot more of a pain fighting on defense now, too. That's for sure. Takes a little more effort. But using Domino, I just want to give Domino a little bit of love. I could have easily just went ahead and kept on what I was doing, but I try to get anyone I bring in to clear the path. I try to get at least one fight in on these little walkthroughs to help let you all see. Multiple champs can be used. I might just kind of gravitate towards personal preferences at times, though. So I'm going to go into Crossbones. Well, I gave all 3 of my path clears a fight, so now I'm going to gravitate. Emma is actually, even though she's a mutant, I didn't bring her as a path clear. I actually brought her in as a boss option. And so now Pyslocke, I'm going to go back to her. I'm going to do what I do. I do have a tutorial on her. I also have some damage highlights with. I have her doing 280,000 damage heavies on a highlight reel I do with her when I build her PSI up. For the purpose of this, I'm not too worried about her PSI and her heavy damage. I know I can control it very well with just some basic 1S1. Corner them and just tear them up here, so I'm not even going to worry about those PSI heavy damages in these fights for the most part. But she does, that's where her real damage is. They'll be dead before I get them ramped up in these fights based on the damage she is doing here. These 15,000 heavies. 22,000 heavies. So yeah, she's a lot better. She gets credit for it. She works really good also on this path here, as we're seeing on this quest. We're just getting a lot more content than people realize. And now I got Rogue going on, and even where they can shrug stuff off quick, let's bring her on in here as well. Have a little bit of fun. Let her have her moment in the sun. Just gotta work up to get that permanent power lock on. We will see a fight on this path. I am gonna bring Pyslocke in too, because sometimes people criticize her for not being good against champs she can't permanently power lock. So Mordo keeps doing power gains, so I'm gonna fight her against Mordo coming up too to prove those naysayers wrong on that as well. Again, kind of a 2-for-1 here. Get us this nice item-free completion walkthrough Cavalier, seeing these fights, and seeing a champ doing really good that most people write off as not being usable. And this is just getting total destruction right there. So time to move on over. And the good thing about her, even though she is taking a recoil damage, I only have to use one special per fight with Pyslocke. Once I get them permanent locked, for at least 95% of the fights out there in the games. For someone like Mordo, I might have to use more specials because I cannot power lock him, but there's very, very few power champs in the game you can't permanently power lock. But the other ones, it just takes one special and it's over. But here, have a little bit of fun with Mordo. I'm watching his power on there. I see the power gain going on. I'm going to use a little more. I haven't been really relying on her heavies this path, even though she can shine heavily on the heavies. I will use some heavies here because they're not going to be high ramped up PSI ones, but you'll still see some pretty reasonable damage for minimal ramp up. So there is a way to deal with this, and you see how it's going to switch. People talk about Pyslocke's low power gain, but if you time stuff correctly on champs like this, I can keep a permanent bar of power a lot of the time. It's just a matter of when I time the special, and I show that on videos I do with her. But at this stage, I'm going to show a little bit on how she has a power lock ability to her S2. So I'm going to use her S2, which is a power lock. But then again, it did almost 100,000 damage and finished the fight before I could even show the power lock. So that was a fun path. I hope you enjoyed that path. I know I enjoyed that path. It is fun fighting with champs that aren't as well known or as much used. And now I'm going to get into Boyd. I will say I'm a little worried about this fight. Okay, so I'm looking at backup discovery, the health, the defender burst of power, combo party, 10 hits combo meter, the attacker gains permanent cruelty plus combo meter. Okay, so if I take a hit, I'm going to take some massive damage with the combo party. I got to worry about the power boost. 40% of defender's attack. Okay, arrogance every 10 hits. The falter. So many falters. Like Kabam just goes through these phases, and they're in a falter phase. And then Bane. There's a high Bane too. So, especially with running suicides on the debuff champ like Boyd, have to be super careful. So I really brought Emma in for this fight. I figured she should be good in her diamond form. So I went and start with debuffs and start getting destroyed right off the back. And I'm not 100% sure how good Emma's going to be for this fight, but figured I'd give her a shot. I have my full team, so if I make a few mistakes on this fight, then I'm not too worried. I got 5 whole champs to work with, so I am not worried. But I am already, you see Emma just getting burnt down quick already on her health pool. The falter was going on, got to back off on those falters. At least get some damage with her. I'll take the recoil around, take a damage. It's looking like I don't have a chance in the world of soloing Boyd with the Emma right now, the way things are going. So I'm just going to try to finish up whatever damage I possibly can, make it a little bit easier on my next champ, who will work towards, if I got a nickel and dime this fight down, so be it. Not everything's got to be a pretty solo, as long as we meet the goal of item free, and Emma just fell asleep. So also for immunity purposes, I'm double checking. I'm like, okay, whoa, that fight went kind of uglier than I expected. I'm looking. And okay, so let's go with Warlock for bleed and poison immune. Try to slow down getting destroyed, but I think Bane was hurting me a bit. It got to kind of back off on falters in certain parts, and that Bane starts to eat through. So still trying to figure out how my Emma got destroyed so effortlessly, but it looked like a combination between those debuffs as well as the Bane. Kind of hard to play aggressive when you got to keep an eye on falters. And then if there's the Bane going on with that too, can even get a little more cumbersome. And yeah, and long special hit into that, unstoppable. So yeah, a lot of things going on in this fight for sure. So if it takes you a couple attempts, I wouldn't sweat it. I know this fight's giving me a run for my money for sure. But bottom line, he's going to get down in it again. Warlock. Boyd is proving to be a pretty interesting boss here with these nodes. And again, same thing happened with those misses and got punished. Falter, long specials can sometimes be a bad thing. And there we go. So this is the first real challenge I've had in the walkthroughs between Chapter 1 and Chapter 2. And not overly challenging, but it's definitely making me work for it. So Cyclops has no immunity, so her health is just going to go, yeah, her health, look at that. She's just melting away. So I'm going to do whatever damage I can with her right now. Now I got to wait for that stupid falter. And, man, she destroyed the path, but this fight is just, nah, even my immune champs are getting destroyed on this fight. So I still have Apocalypse and Domino. So I might revisit this boss fight on a later video after I give it a little more research and thought and show you how to solo this one, because this was far from a solo. This was pretty dang ugly, but don't always got to be pretty, does it? And Apocalypse finishes it off. That took a team effort for sure, but nothing wrong with a little bit of teamwork sometimes. But I am probably going to revisit that unless I just completely overlook something on that fight. That was a little uglier than it should have. Well, that's the end of Chapter 2. Remember, I already got Chapter 1 out. Chapter 3 is going to be out in moments as well. So be sure and don't forget, if you find these walkthroughs helpful, first, don't forget to subscribe, hit like, and remember to turn on notifications, because every single month or new harder content I do these. I make the mistakes, walk you through to make it a little bit easier for you. Don't forget to subscribe. Mcoc, Al Bundy Rules.